Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving deep into, well, the intricate world of Salesforce administration. Think of it like we're dissecting the DNA of an efficient, secure Salesforce environment. And our mission really isn't just about prepping for an exam, though that's part of it. It's about really getting a handle on those core functions that make Salesforce, powerful and secure, and genuinely useful for solving actual business problems. We've got a great set of sources for this deep dive. Practice questions, detailed explanations, all from the Salesforce Platform Administrator exam. Practice questions and explanations.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, I think, is how these questions go beyond just like memorizing facts. They're really built to test a practical, applied understanding of how Salesforce actually works out there in the wild. And just for context, for everyone listening, the exam itself is web-based. It's 90 minutes. You've got 60 questions, but only 50 are scored. Multiple choice, multiple select. And you need a 70% to pass. But looking at the structure, it really underlines why these topics we're discussing are so fundamental. Not just for the test, but, well, for being a good admin day to day, solving those common business issues.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into one of those real-world problems. We'll start with something I think is foundational in any system.
Mhm.
Ensuring that data is rock solid. Data integrity. So imagine you've got users, they're manually keying in records. We've all seen it, right? When you know there's human input involved, what's your first line of defense? How do you make sure the data is clean, reliable, trustworthy before it even hits the database?
Right. When data quality is absolutely key, and you're talking manual entry, my go-to solutions are always validation rules and duplicate rules. Validation rules are, well, they're your frontline gatekeepers. Think of them as like custom checkpoints you build right in. So if a user tries to save a record, maybe it's missing something crucial, or a field's format is just plain wrong like an email without the @my sign, the validation rule just stops them, stops the save. And it tells them what needs fixing. It's really about preventing bad data from getting in, period.
Okay, so it's like a smart bouncer for your database,
Yeah.
checking IDs at the door. But what about those situations where the data might be technically valid, that's just, well, it's already in there?
Exactly, and that's where duplicate rules kick in. So while validation rules check the quality, duplicate rules tackle the uniqueness. You define what counts as a duplicate for you. Maybe it's a lead with the same email and company name as one you already have. Salesforce can then either just block the user from creating that duplicate, or it can just alert them, say, hey, this looks familiar, and let them decide, but making them aware. So together, these aren't just about fixing mistakes. They're really foundational for proactive data governance, making sure decisions are based on reliable info, not spending ages cleaning up messes later.
That's a really crucial distinction. It's prevention, not just cure. Less headaches down the line.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got data integrity kind of locked down. But what happens once that clean data starts flowing in, especially when it comes to, say, new business opportunities, new leads?
That's a perfect segue, actually, because the next big challenge is often automating how new leads get handled. So imagine a marketing team. They've got a web form, maybe a contact us form. They want leads from that form captured automatically and then sent straight to the right sales queue for follow-up. The key configuration for that kind of automation, that's lead assignment rules.
Lead assignment rules. Okay, so how do these rules know where everything needs to go? Is it like a smart sorting hat for leads?
Huh? Precisely. That's a great way to put it. You define the criteria within those rules. It could be based on, well, almost anything. The lead's geographic location, maybe a specific product they asked about, even where the lead came from the source. And based on those criteria, the rule just automatically routes that incoming lead. Could be to a specific person or often to a specific queue, like a West Coast sales queue. Hey, this makes sure every single inquiry gets to the right team fast. No leads falling through the cracks. And it speeds up the whole sales cycle.
Right, that's not just about being efficient. It's making sure every potential customer gets attention without someone having to manually sort through everything. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about a feature that's, well, incredibly powerful, but I think often misunderstood. Formula fields. We know they do calculations and things, but what's a really fundamental capability of a formula field that unlocks new insights?
Yeah, formula fields are great. A core and incredibly useful capability is their power to reference fields from parent objects. We call it cross-object formulas. This means you can basically pull information from a related record and display it right where you are without leaving the current record page. So, for instance, you're looking at a contact record, right? A formula field could pull in and just display the industry from their related account record.
Hold on, so you're saying I can see details about the company right there on the person's record, even though that industry data actually lives on the account.
Wow.
Wow, okay, that sounds like it cuts out a lot of clicking back and forth.
Exactly that. It brings that context, that intelligence directly to the user right when they need it. The real power isn't just like doing math. It's about creating that single view, that source of truth. Without needing manual updates or running separate reports, it integrates insights right into your workflow. But, and this is vital, you have to remember their main limitation. Formula fields are always read-only. You can't type into them, you can't edit them directly, and crucially, they cannot directly trigger things like workflow rules or other automation. Their whole purpose is to dynamically show information, not to kick off actions.
That's a really key distinction, isn't it? Their strength is displaying that real-time related data. But if you need to actually do something based on that data, you're looking at different Salesforce tools altogether. Which actually leads us perfectly into another critical area, controlling who sees what. Record access, security. So let's say an admin needs to restrict a specific group of users. Maybe they shouldn't see certain opportunity records. What's the most effective strategy for that kind of, granular control?
Right, when you need to restrict access like that, you're generally working with a layered security model in Salesforce. It all starts with your organization-wide defaults, OWDs, as everyone calls them. These set the absolute baseline level of access for every user in your Salesforce org. So if you set the OWD for opportunities to private, that means, by default, users can only see the opportunity records they personally own. That's it. It's the most restrictive starting point.
Okay, so the OWDs are like the main vault door locked down tight if set to private. How do you then let, some specific people into certain parts of that vault?
That's exactly where sharing rules come into play. Sharing rules are specifically designed to selectively open up access to records, going beyond what the OWDs allow. So, building on that private OWD baseline we just talked about, you could create a sharing rule that grants, say, a specific group of users, or maybe everyone in a particular role or a defined public group, grants them view access or edit access to opportunities that meet certain criteria, maybe all opportunities in the Western region, or deals over a certain amount. They're like your precision tools. They let you poke specific controlled holes through that restrictive OWD foundation. This ensures sensitive data is only seen by the people who are actually authorized. It's this layered approach that gives you really fine-grained control.
That's a fantastic way to explain it. Layered. It's about saying, okay, default is nobody sees this except these specific people under these specific conditions. Hugely powerful for keeping data confidential. Okay, now for our final point today, let's talk about something slightly different. A common user experience, well, gotcha, that can really confuse people. Imagine a user reports that their recent items list, the one in the navigation menu, isn't showing updates they know they made to some cases they access today. They're frustrated. They're saying, I was just in there working on these. What's the likely reason for that weirdness?
Ah, yes, this is a classic one, and it really boils down to how Salesforce technically defines a recent item. The recent items list, it only updates when a user directly opens a record's full detail page. So the most likely reason in your user scenario is that they access those cases through, say, a list view. Maybe they were editing fields inline directly on the list or just viewing the cases from that filtered list. But they never actually click through to open the individual case record's full page. Ah, okay, so simply seeing it on a list or even making a quick inline edit there, that doesn't count as properly opening it in the system's eyes for that specific list.
Precisely. Accessing records just via list views without clicking into the individual records themselves, it just doesn't register as a recent interaction for the purpose of populating that recent items panel. It's a subtle difference in how the UI works, yeah, but it definitely leads to confusion if you expect every touch point to show up there. Understanding this little quirk can actually save a lot of user frustration and help people figure out how best to navigate their day. And that really brings us nicely to the end of our deep dive today.
Connect this all to the bigger picture. Mastering these specific configurations, it isn't just about passing an exam or ticking off a feature list. It's really about building a Salesforce environment that's robust, efficient, secure, and genuinely supports your business objectives. Understanding these core mechanics, well, it lets you troubleshoot better, optimize processes, innovate on the platform, and ultimately drive better business outcomes, which, that's the goal. And this really raises an important question, I think, for you listening right now. How might these specific Salesforce configurations, validation rules, assignment rules, formulas, sharing, how might they apply to a challenge you're facing in your own work right now, or maybe a data issue you've seen? What opportunities do you maybe see now to optimize things based on what we've just uncovered?